Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video I will be going over my July off-season bracket update. Sort of a pre-NBA draft frenzy. I'm recording this on the last day of July 31st. So we're just a few days away from the NBA draft decision frenzy on August 3rd. Just a bit of a key here. Team next that's has a star next to its name. That means they're new. They just moved into the bracket since the last update. And then a team that's moved up and down as well. Alright, getting into it. I got Gonzaga as my number 1 overall seed, despite losing Philip Petrusev. I definitely think they still have good reinforcements and front court, but they still have Corey Kispert and Joel Ayayi in the NBA draft. I'm waiting on their decisions, and I probably would move them down if they lose those guys. But without Philip Petrusev, I still think they'll be the number 1 overall seed. And you can see the playing game at the bottom right. I've got Colgate out of the Patriot and Norfolk State out of the MEAC playing in that playing game there. Memphis. This team is new and they moved up to the 8 seed line. And the main reason for that obviously is Moussa Cisse's commitment there. He kind of filling a role kind of like James Wiseman, give a little bit better defense, and they're already really good on defense anyway. So they still return Quinones, Ellis, Lomax, and DJ Jeffries, as well as Damian Vaughn. But they lost Tyler Harris due to transfer, and of course their NBA draft guys. But with Moussa Cisse there, I think this moves him from just considered to fully into the bracket. Excuse my phone moved there. You can see Illinois, another team that's dependent on the NBA draft. If they return Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe Coburn, that could move them up to, say, maybe the 4 or 3 line. But since that hasn't happened yet, I've got them as a 9. You can see North Carolina as a 5. Not too much movement here. Austin Peay is a 12. With Austin Peay, the Governors, definitely think they'll win the Missouri Valley because probably had Belmont second. But after losing Belmont's leading scorer, Adam Kunkel to Xavier, transfer there. I definitely think Austin Peay should win this conference. Maybe Gray State has something to say about it, but I've got Austin Peay right now. Of course, we got Arizona State, South Dakota State, Florida State as the 6, and our first playing game as far as the last 4 in goes, I've got Utah out of the Pac-12 and SMU out of the American. Now SMU, they got Yor and Nye while also losing one of their other interior pieces to the professional leagues. Isaiah Mike being that person. But Yor and Nye should help improve their defense. Defensively, they're pretty bad last year. I think they ranked in the 100s in KenPom. Moving on, we've got Kentucky, Yale, Oklahoma State. Now I know they're banned from the NCAA tournament, but I still want to put them in just in case they win the appeal. And if they win that appeal, I think land on the 7 line. But if I had to take them out, my first 4-out team, which you'll see in a little bit, will move in. And then we'll probably have Memphis take that 7th spot. Now we have Northern Illinois as a 2. Moving down 2 spots to the 10 line. Really, I kind of like Memphis a little bit better. They took their spot as an 8. I didn't really have another place to put them, so I moved them to the 10 line. But I still think they're going to be really good and be one of the 2 Missouri Valley teams. And then rounding out this region, we've got Creighton and Montana. Alright, next. Number 1, we've got Villanova, UC Irvine, Arkansas, Ohio State, Rutgers, Furman, Houston, Abilene Christian is a 13, and Texas as a 6, all remaining at the same spots. Now, Arkansas is a team that could fluctuate with this NBA draft decision, with Isaiah Joe being on the fence, and also Villanova too, because Jeremiah Robinson Earl has not taken his name out of the draft yet. So we'll just have to wait and see. Now, I think if Earl left, they may move down just a little bit, but probably still stay on 1 line though. Ohio State out of the Big Ten is a 9. Rutgers is a 5. I got Furman as my SoCon representative over UNC Greensboro and East Tennessee State. As of this moment, Furman's done everything these last few years except make the NCAA tournament. So I think they finally get that this year. Now, moving into the field is a Providence Friars. They move 1 spot in and avoid the playing game. And they are new. So I certainly think they'll move in because they've got excuse me. They've got transfers coming in. They're usually transfer reliant there, plus David Duke and some other returning players from last year, from a team that really surged at the end of last season and was 1 game away from winning the Big East title, kind of surprisingly. So I think they move in over the likes of some of the people that I moved out. So you got Duke as a 3 and Iona as a 14. That's just say Iona. Oh, that's say Iona, not Iowa. As 14. Oregon as a 7. Now I do have Oklahoma moving down just a little bit. Just some teams that like a little bit more at this point. But I still have them comfortably in the field. And then we've got Wisconsin and Wright State rounding out this region. No playing games in this region though. The UC Irvine taking the Big West in the 16th spot there. Moving on, we've got Baylor's region. Now Baylor will be facing 2 new teams in the playing game. We've got Liberty and LIU Brooklyn. And the reason for these new teams running their respective conferences, I originally had New Jersey Institute of Technology winning the ASUN and then Robert Morris running the NEC. Now it turns out both of those teams have moved out of those conferences since the last update. So I went with Liberty out of the ASUN and LIU Brooklyn from the NEC. Taking the playing games there. Excuse me. Now, we've got St. Louis as an 8, Florida as a 9. as high on Florida as some of the others, just based on their performances in recent years being slightly disappointing relative to what we expected from them. But St. Louis, a team that surged and should be a 10 title contenders. Moving on, we've got UCLA at the 5. North Texas at the 12, winning the CUSA over Western Kentucky, at least for me. We've got Texas Tech from the America East, Louisville, and a new team in Dayton moving in. I've got Dayton skipping the play-in game and moving right into the field as an 11. Now, keys for Dayton is Jalen Crutcher, another NBA draft decision waiting on. So we'll have to wait on that. But if he returns, I think they move into the field and be the third A-10 team in this bracket. Excuse me, the second you've seen so far. But the third A-10 team overall. Moving on, we've got Tennessee, Bowling Green out of the MAC, Indiana, LSU as a 10, a little bit lower on them, just because kind of left a bad taste in my mouth last year. And Kansas and Southern rounding out this region. Now I will point out LSU is another team that's dependent on this NBA draft decision date on Monday. So I got a few players on the borderline who could go or could stay. And then I've got Southern winning the SWAC and Kansas at the 2. Alright, last region. I've got Virginia as my last 1 seed. Winthrop out of the Big South taking the 16 seed. Virginia winning the ACC in this scenario, being the highest ranked team. UConn as an 8. Michigan I got moving up a little bit. Had them as a 10 last season. Our last update. They did get Isaiah Livers back, so I moved them up just a little bit, taking Oklahoma's spot. I've got Stanford as a 5. And then the last play-in game, the last 2 teams that are in, we got Loyola Chicago out of the Missouri Valley. Now I think Sister Dean and Loyola Chicago and Cameron Krepwick will make themselves back into the tourney discussion. I do have Northern Iowa just ahead of them in the Missouri Valley, but I think Loyola Chicago will do just enough to earn themselves another bid, an at-large bid. And then the other team, I've got Georgia Tech moving in. They're a new team. The Yellow Jackets kind of surprisingly finished 5th in the ACC last season. One interesting thing to note, everybody after Virginia, Duke, Louisville, and Florida State were very average. But Georgia Tech with like no expectations. I think they were picked 14th or something in the preseason, were able to finish 5th. Very surprising. And returned most of their guys, plus a few transfers as well. Their returning guys include Jose Alvarado, as well as a few others. Moses Wright, Michael DeVoe, and they returned 5 of their top 6 scorers as well. So I think Georgia Tech finally makes it back to the tournament, and the first time under Josh Pastner. Kind of cool to see it a little bit. Alright, I got West Virginia as a 4. UA Little Rock winning the Sun Belt, taking the 13th spot there. Richmond, I've got the third A-10 team in this bracket. Richmond, the Spiders, should be a lot better, make the tournament for the first time since 2011, and probably would have been in the tournament this past season if it was played though. And I've got Alabama as an 11th seed there out of the SEC. I think Nate Oates makes their first tournament appearance with him as head coach. Another team that's waiting on NBA draft decisions with John Petty there. I got Michigan State as a 3. Yet another team that's waiting for Xavier Tillman. Really, should be another team that should be close to winning another Big Ten title under Izzo. And they'll obviously fluctuate depending on Xavier Tillman, potentially Josh Langford, and some of their other guys. And I've got New Mexico State as my WAC representative. And this team probably should win the WAC by many games as they typically do. Probably would be shocked if someone else won the WAC. Same thing with South Dakota State and Gonzaga. Those teams are far ahead of everyone else in their respective conferences. Alright, rounding out this bracket, we've got Seton Hall at the 7, San Diego State as a 10 out of the Mountain West, the only Mountain West team. Iowa as a 2, and Delaware winning the Colonial as a 15. Alright, let's look at the bubble again. Alright, looking at the bubble again, we can see I got Utah, SMU, Loyola Chicago, and Georgia Tech as my last 4 in, playing games in Dayton, Ohio. First 4 out, Arizona, Colorado, BYU, Purdue. At Arizona and Colorado both moving down out of the field since the last update, mostly in favor of teams like Providence and Dayton, and also Memphis. Colorado, Arizona probably would have been the last 4 in the last update anyway. With Arizona kind of being mostly whatever in the last season and losing almost everybody from that team. And Colorado being pretty bad at the end of the last season as well. BYU, only Gonzaga from the WCC in this update, but BYU I think will be close. Only other team in this first 4 out discussion other than the team we'll get to on the right. And Purdue from the Big Ten, just wouldn't have made the tournament last year barring a Big Ten tournament title win. So I just have them at the back end of this Big Ten grouping and just out of the field at this point. Obviously BYU losing a lot. Purdue losing guys to the transfer portal, Matt Harms, Nojel Eastern as well. Ole Miss, moving from the last 4 in to not even first 4 out, and also USC, who went from a 10th seed to just 4 out. USC just kind of favored some other teams, like the aforementioned Dayton, Memphis, Providence, Georgia Tech, and then Ole Miss, they lost Blake Henson to the transfer portal. I still think they could be decent. LaMelo White, kind of get back into that tournament discussion where it's supposed to be last year. You saw they were pretty bad at times, and they were actually pretty good at times Remember, they almost beat Kentucky at Rupp Arena last year. Alright, we got South Carolina from the SEC. And AJ Lawson returning officially. And I think they could be in the discussion to make their first tournament berth since their Final Four run back in 2017. Got UNC Greensboro out of the SoCon, just out of the tournament yet again. They obviously had an NBA player that came back who's in the NBA discussion. So I think they should be close, but I got Furman in the field right now. I got Miami, not quite in there with Miami as a tournament team just yet. But, kind of like some of these other ACC teams, they're kind of just there. Kind of like last year. Texas A&M and the SEC, Buzz Williams in his second year should make major improvements. Also got a couple of good transfers in. Washington State the same. Kyle Smith in his second year should be able to make some big improvements. CJ Elleby also an NBA draft entrant. He would have to come back for me to keep this team in this discussion though. I think Texas A&M and Washington State should make major improvements in their second year regimes with their new coaches. I got Washington out of the Pac-12, both Washington schools in this discussion. Really a lot of Pac-12 teams in this last four in, first four out considered region. I think there's a lot of them that will be close. Just a matter of which one gets enough quality wins and which ones don't. I think Washington will be in this discussion and have sort of a rebound year from last year. Clemson, kind of like Miami, just an ACC team that returns a lot, but was just okay. St. Bonaventure and Duquesne from the A-10, both teams that return a whole lot, that were probably NIT bid worthy maybe. So I think they could improve a little bit and get kind of close to the field. South Florida and Cincinnati, a pair of AAC teams. Cincinnati dropping down just a little bit, but they returned Keith Williams as I'm recording this on July 31st, and also Chris Vogt. So I think they will be fighting for a tournament bid, and would be their 7th or 8th straight tournament bid for the Bearcats. But I have them just out of the field at this point. And South Florida, David Collins coming back, Alexis Yet now back from injury. They can kind of have like a redemption season from what they were hoped to do last year. Moving on, we got Boise State from the Mountain West. Only one Mountain West team in San Diego State. San Diego State depending on Matt Mitchell. If he leaves, maybe I move Boise State in closer to the field. But if there's another Mountain West team, I think it's Boise State. Can make the argument it could be maybe Utah State, maybe some others. But I think it's Boise State because of their transfer talent, and also Derek Alston officially returning to Boise, Idaho. Syracuse, yet another ACC team that was just okay, mostly whatever. So yeah, not really a whole lot to say about that. I got Girard and Buddy Boeheim returning. Xavier from the Big East. Travis Steele really needs to start getting this thing going, because I haven't made the tournament just yet. So I think they will be kind of close, kind of like the last couple of years. but just talent. Western Kentucky out of the CUSA, I got them just behind UNT and their conference. I think North Texas wins at this point, but they still are really talented with Charles Massey returning from injury and other notable players as well. Wichita State and American, a lot of guys transferred out, but they still return. Some guys have just had an NBA draft entrant officially come back earlier this week. Plus they got ATN and Altry Gilbert, who transferred from UConn. So I think they won't drop off too far if I have them out of the field at this point. Pepperdine is kind of my out of the box pick for this group here. Kobe Ross, NBA draft entrant, obviously, could lead this team to an improved record, perhaps an NIT berth, and perhaps even more. But I've got them in this considered grouping at this point. And last but maybe least, and Marquette out of the Big East. They got losing Howard there, big loss, and they get DJ Carton from Ohio State coming back though. Going down to the conferences, got the Big 10 with 8, the Big 12 with 7. Those two should be the best conferences by far. Well, not by far, but you get what I mean. ACC, Pac-12, Big East, SEC, all in a big group with 5 from the Pac-12, Big East, and SEC, and 6 on the ACC, moving Georgia Tech in the field, just by the fact that they finished a little bit better than other teams. So I got them, giving them a little bit the benefit of the doubt there. The Atlantic 10 with 3, good fat conference with Dayton, St. Louis, and Richmond, and Duquesne and St. Bonaventure in my considered / NIT grouping. So really, one of the best years for the A10 in a while for this season, and I wouldn't rule out getting 4 bids there. Moving on, we got AEC also with 3, with Memphis moving into this field, Houston being the favorite for me, and also SMU in the last 4 in. Still, a conference has moved up in my eyes. I thought there was definitely a shot at them being a 1-bid league if you would have asked me like 1 or 2 or 3 months ago. But with SMU there, with Memphis now getting Moussa Cisse in, and some bubble teams in South Florida, Cincinnati, Wichita State, a little bit better outlook at this point now. The Missouri Valley, big news, 2 bids for them, with Northern Ireland and Northern Chicago. Seems like that's their favorite. And Mountain West WCC, 2 multi-bid leagues with just 1. Maybe they get up to 2 if BYU or Boise State can get into the field. And obviously all other conferences with 1. Here's the full bracket. I'll pause it for a couple of seconds. Be sure to pause, take a big look with first 4 out, bubble, and considered / NIT grouping as well. Thank you for watching, and please comment if you want to. Do you have any disagreements with my picks? Give it a like and subscribe if you want to, and thank you for watching.